Okay, welcome to lesson 2.3. We're going to talk about a couple different things in this lesson. First and foremost, we're going to talk about how to calculate derivatives on your calculator. Now, a couple things about this. Your calculator actually can find a derivative all on its own. But if you do that on the AP test, you will get in trouble. So I want you to write down right now, these are the skills that you can use a calculator for on the AP test. So on the AP test, you can use a calculator to get a graph. So if you need a picture of a graph or you need to find intersections or anything like that, and it is on the calculator section of the AP test, you can use your calculator to look at a picture of that graph. Number 2, you can use a calculator to solve an equation. So those were the ones where we had things like this. And you would put this side into y1, this side into y2, and then look for the intersection points. So you can totally use a calculator to solve an equation. Number 3, you can use a calculator to find the derivative at a single point, which is what we're going to go through today, finding the derivative at a point. And then the final one, which we aren't going to talk about yet, we'll get to later in the year, is to evaluate a definite integral. So don't worry about that one too much, we'll get there. So today, let's learn how to find a derivative at a single point on our calculators. Now, I'm going to go through two different ways, because if you have a new calculator, it's going to look like one way. If you have an old calculator, it's going to look like something different. So I want to go through both depending on which kind of calculator you have. So let's look at example 1. First off, to do this on the calculator, you're going to hit number 1, the math key, and then number 2, it's number 8, and it will say n deriv parentheses. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's our calculator. I'm going to do math, and then if I scroll down, you'll see number 8, n deriv. So this one is what the newer calculators will look like. So on your notes, I'll copy it down. So new calculators. It looks like this. Then it has a box. Then it has parentheses. Make sure I got this. With a box. And then it has this line. And then it has x equals. And it has a box. Your old calculators will look like this. Just like that. And in these ones, what you'll do is you'll type something in, comma, something in, comma, something in. Right there. And you should have your comma right there on your calculator. Now let's show you how to take a problem and fill this all in. So here's our problem. We want to find f prime of 2. So first off, this 2 right there, that's your x equals. So that goes right there. In your old calculator, that 2 would be in that last spot. Next one, here's our equation. Your equation is what goes in this box. So you type that into your calculator in that box. If you have an old calculator, that's what you're going to type in to the first part. And then you would do comma. Then this last part right here, this is telling your calculator what variable you're in. Or what variable, I should say, you're differentiating. So for this one, I want to find f prime, which would be differentiating with respect to x. So I would put x right there. And in your old calculator, that's in the middle spot. Okay? So that's what it should look like no matter what calculator you have. Now I have the new one, so I'm going to go through and type this in. So d dx, I use my xt theta n key for my x. Now I need to type in my equation, so that is x, and then math, I'm going to do cubed, x cubed plus 3 to the x. And then I've got my equation. Now I hit the arrow to get over to my x equals, and I'm going to type my 2. That's what I wanted. And enter. Ta-da! Here's our derivative. So you don't even have to try and differentiate it. You don't have to try and do it by hand. You can just put it into your calculator. So our answer would be 21.887. Sweet. Okay. What I want you to do is practice that with your calculator and try typing those in. So just a reminder, what it would look like. Pardon the bell. So this one is still in terms of x. So x. This first one, I want to find g prime of 2. So I'm going to have this. So it should be x equals 2, and that should be my last number on that one on the old calculator. And my equation is ln of x squared minus 3. So I would type that in there. So type those in, find g prime of 2, and then practice doing the same thing with g prime of 4. Pause the video, try that part out. Okay, this is what you should have gotten. Now I'm going to show you how to graph a derivative on your calculator. So what you're going to do is go into your y equals and type this into y1, and then you're going to type this into y2. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to go into y equals. In y1, we're going to do ln of x squared minus 3. In y2, we're going to get our derivative, so math, and then it was number 8, and deriv, d dx. And I could either type my equation here again, or I can tell my calculator, use this equation. So that would be going into vars, arrow over to y vars, and then number 1 function, and then I wrote my equation in y1. So then you're telling your calculator, use the equation I wrote in y1. And then I want to graph it, so I'm going to say x equals x. Now, this is going to graph both graph both g and g prime. But if you look at the problem in number 2, it just says graph g prime. So I'm going to go up here and tell my calculator, I actually don't want you to graph this, so I'm going to hit enter. And notice it deselects this equal sign. It's not highlighted anymore. So that means this is the only one that will actually graph. So now I can graph. And this is what it looks like. So let's go into our notes and copy that down. So it looks like at positive 2, And at -2, I had asymptotes. And this one looked like that. And this one looked like that. And that's how we graph derivatives. Okay, last one. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but last one. Let's look at this. F of x equals absolute value of x. First off, practice typing that into your calculator using either the new calculator method or the old calculator method, whichever one you have. So pause the video, try to type this one in for f prime of 0. Okay, your calculator probably gave you this, 0. But, wait a second. We just took the derivative of absolute value of x at 0. But if you remember back in 2.2, number 8, we said, pardon the bell again, that this function is not differentiable at 0 because it's a sharp point, and we can't take derivatives at sharp points. So, here's your warning right here. Some calculators might give you the wrong answer on this problem. So whenever you're doing this, make sure you're using logic with your answers and thinking about, is it differentiable at that point, before just trusting whatever your calculator gives you. Okay, that's all for this very long video. In the next video, we're going to talk about derivatives of sine and cosine.